And so it is 12:32, and we are at the Disability Commission meeting, and we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
Would you like to lead us, George?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much, George. All right, so it's just the three of us today. We do have a quorum in our meeting. There's 5 of us on the committee, so quorum is 3. So we're going to start off by discussing the handicap parking. George, you had stated you wanted to talk about that regarding the, most especially the point. You said that you had been up there and you were concerned about some issues up there that you felt we should probably look into and address. If you'd like to start us off.
Anyway, so, you know?
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Just want to get this phone killed here.
So, you can
Yeah,
go
I
whenever.
was up getting a haircut up at
Afterward, too. If
Great
it's
Cliff
easy,
up
but it
there.
doesn't have a
Just saw it
button,
came
so
out and just saw it
it
kind
may
of
be easier to go back
look at
around
the
or
parking
whatever you want.
spaces there.
Does
This
she know
first
where
sheet that we have here was one that I went on, which was Michael Miller, he's an attorney, had posted this on it. So I want to go in a little bit further because this one did not show the number of vans that was needed
Okay.
based on the space. So if you go to the third sheet down and you start reading, it sort of kind of tells you what's what, and it, on the 4th page, which is 2 of 15, it gives you a breakdown of how many vans are needed for the total number of spaces. So if you got 1 to 25, that space needs to be marked as a van.
Okay.
And 26 to 50, 1 standard and 1 van.
Okay.
And I know up there, there's more than 50 spaces, and it's more than 75, it's more than 100, more than 150 spaces up there. So it applies to where, not the total number of spaces up there in the point,
Right.
but it breaks it down, and you see the illustration here on the page here, 1 of 15. It shows that if you got a building, you count the spaces that are close to the building, and if you have a break in between it, like a roadway that goes, that puts it in another category for those parking spaces that you have as well.
Okay.
So it's important for us to ensure that we have the authorized parking spaces up there, because like at Market Basket, I don't know if there's, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows or 5 rows that's double, 1 van up there, and they got 8 regular spaces there. But yet instead, they have on the side parking, I don't know how many parking spaces there are over there. So I
Okay.
don't know if that's inclusive into that number. And then you go over to the bank, that's another category. Every place you go where you got the break of the roadway up there, it puts it in another category.
Okay. So, in talking with, I talked a little bit to Roland about this, just to kind of get an understanding about the parking spaces, because I wanted to know who actually was responsible and all of that. And so he said that, so you have to take into consideration each and every sub-area. So if it's the bank only has 10 spots, so it's the bank has 10 spots, so that would break it into the 1 to 25. And then Anthony's has 30 spaces, so that would fall into the 26 to 50. So you have to find out which group has how many spaces. And so we'd have to go back and look at the actual layout for each and every the restaurant or the bank or the Market Basket or the Party Plus or the the haircut, cuttery, or, so we have to find out that, to figure out where they fall into all these different categories, to figure out where they fall as far as spaces itself.
And some of the spaces up there now, like they got the party store up there. I mean, it's like, how many spaces do they have? The next building he got over, which he has there, how many do they have? But as it stands right now, there are no handicap spots on that side
Okay.
for the people there, for those stores. So if they're breaking it down
Yep,
by certain client that they have up there, then we need to know the full breakdown that they have for the client, because really and truly, that increases the number of space they have to put in, because if you 1 to 25 and he getting you 10, you gotta have a spot. And if you 30, you gotta have a spot. What about the coffee shop there? If they got, if they got 5 spots there, that means one of those gotta be. So it really increases
right,
with the number of clients that he's signing spaces to.
right,
And to me, that's a little strange, because they don't have anything that blocks it off that says these 10 spots belong to me.
right.
So, I don't know. To me,
It's kind of difficult to figure
Yeah.
out what spaces belong to.
To me,
To who?
the way it's broken down, because they got all these parking spaces up there, the roadway will be the way to really truly to break down the number of spaces. Because if you go in this area, like they got parking that's up close to the building, but you can still, there's a roadway that goes through there, which means all those parking spaces there. Now, when you get into the parking lot, you got 5 or 6 rows of double, that's 25 or 30 spaces
Yeah,
there until you get up to Emerson
Yeah.
Clinic up there. And they got some spaces up close to the building there, but they got the roadway to go there. It's all like a rectangle, I guess, if you want to call it, from the top of the hill up there. And there's like 1 space over in the corner, and there's 2 more spaces there. But when you look up there and look at all those parking spaces up there, it's like, what about these stores over here? So I don't know if that's the way they did it. Then I can almost assure you that they're not in compliance with the number of spaces that should be up there.
okay. So I guess we could go back and look at the actual layout when the different companies decided to come in and see how they laid out their actual parking spots. I guess that would be the way we would have to, I guess, backtrack,
Yeah.
see what they had laid out, and then come forward and see
Yeah.
what they actually have.
Because if he put spaces for every client based on the billing up there, then we need to know that, because that would tell me that where you got the party store and whatever else over there, and there's another end on that, there seem to be no parking handicap over on that side, period, even though they have to, go across the roadway there to get over there. There's none over there. The only 2 that's there is at the kitchen bar up there,
Okay,
and that serves for Great Clip there,
okay.
from that end to the other end, which is the Sprint or somebody, the telephone company there.
Pet shop.
Pet
And then
shop?
you-
Pet stores, yeah, it's on that too.
And then the next, those are 2,
Okay.
you can go through that parking lot all the way up. The next time you find handicap parking is up at Emerson Clinic.
There's a whole strip.
Yeah, there's a big whole strip that there's
And I don't
no,
think they're even full yet. I think there are storefronts that aren't even filled on that strip. Between that, there's like a gym, like a boxing gym at
There's
the
some-
end,
yeah.
and Party City at one end, and then I think there's some empty spots still in the middle.
And none of those have, none of
I don't
those
think
have
so.
handicap
And-
spots.
and
Or
the-
indicated yet, you know, yeah. Remember that?
as you go to the movie, on the left-hand side there, from Sprint there, all the way up to the top, there's parking space, not a one handicap on that side going all the way up.
Did we park in front of Tavern in the Square? I can't remember if we had did we have a placard for that? Yeah, it was right in front. I don't think there were, just maybe a couple spots in front of that. Two.
Two.
I would check that, yeah. Market basket's hard to, I don't know. if This is a formal conversation here, but do you know parking at Market Basket is tough and it's very, they're tight too. We take the school van, so Solvay can transfer herself. So we put the wheelchair in the back of the van and then, so she can get in and out of the van herself. But we have to open the doors and get the wheelchair like between the van and the next car, right?
So there's
And
no,
it's tight.
it's not a van? So it's supposed to be, I believe, it tells you the distance that it's supposed to be, so I'm
For a
wondering,
van, it should be 11
feet, I think?
11 feet.
Wide, I'm sorry, wide or?
Wide.
Right,
So.
yeah. Well, it's normally,
Yeah.
if I may, it's normally the regular space is 6 feet,
Okay,
and they give you
Not
two
additional,
more feet. That's for the car.
okay,
When you get to the van, they give
Give you
you
an
the
additional
6 plus 5, I believe it
5,
is.
yeah.
on
Okay.
there.
Oh, wow.
and is there, this is my ignorance, but a difference of, so are there a certain amount of handicap spaces for car handicap versus van, the wider, so there's one number for the
Yep,
smaller and one number
I
for the
believe for
11?
every 6 you get one, let's see here. You can go from one standard on the 5, you get one. So if you got the 0 to 25,
it's supposed to be
standard, you
standard.
get 0, you get one that's a van, so either
Okay.
can park in there. 26 to 50 is 1 and 1.
Okay,
Yep,
And 51 to 75 is 2 standards and 1
van,
van.
okay,
So it sort of kind of goes up there. Then they get into the percentage.
2%.
and is there a length of the parking space that they allocate? Because that's the other thing, that's hard to fit our van. You know, they have, we have a big van, well, we have, but most vans are
Pretty big,
bigger.
yeah.
And I don't, like, there's, I think it's a light post. I'm not sure what it is. It's blue, like round thing, and I have to get my nose right up to it in order to get the back end of our van, like.
So
in
is it
spot.
is it the actual marker, the handicap marker? But-
I think it might be, but it's big, and it's like a blue, like this color. I'll look at it next time I go.
Okay.
Just for, just to see. All I remember is thinking, oh gosh, I hope like I'm in far enough because it's tight, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, is there a length? Does it tell you?
No, it just the width.
Okay. I do find it's easier for us to park on that side that he was talking about. Do you remember when we pull into Market Basket? It's against that chain link fence over the wetland area. It's easier to park that van on that side than try to get it.
Oh, closer to the
Into-
road side?
Yeah, like on the left side, if you're pulling in at Market Basket, it's on your right, on the left.
Yeah.
Just because like a van that's big, it's easier in trying to put it in those aisles. That just seems so, and there's so many people like with their carriages and you're,
Yeah.
So where it's such a new development up there, it would seem that, the plans that were originally laid out for it would still be pretty relatively
Yeah,
available
they are.
to
They're
like
they're
it
a
could be
lot
a
more
simple.
accessible right now than
Yeah,
had they, were
like
they older,
a
so.
simple audit,
Yeah.
to, just for the sake of being thorough, to check what they did compared to what they planned to do. you know?
Right, right. Plus with, where they still haven't filled all of the buildings, we can still look to see what they have laid out for the
Yeah,
other buildings as
Yeah.
well.
yeah.
Yeah, like it says here that 2 vehicles shall share the one aisle that goes across.
between that, yep.
Yeah, it has to be at least 60 inches that space has to be at least 60 inches
Okay.
where you got the cross lines at.
Yep.
And I believe the minimum on the full length of the parking lot, I think it's 96.
Okay. Wonder what
So
the
that
plan is.
typically be about 8 feet.
Yeah.
I'm on page 8 of 15 here.
Yeah, because it's showing, so it's showing that if you have the ramp coming off of the van, then the wheelchair can come down the ramp, and then that extra section is so that you can come off safely
Like and turn your
and turn the
wheelchair.
wheelchair, yeah.
Yeah, because
Do
you
you,
have to.
and, yeah, do you
get
have that?
Off the ramp. We don't
Yeah.
have a ramp on our
Okay.
van.
Because she can,
Because she can transfer,
Transfer,
but
so.
like today, she took the Council on Aging van
Yep.
to get here.
yeah,
And that obviously has the ramp, and when you come off that ramp, you need at least your wheelchair length
right, to be able to,
beyond that yellow part of the ramp, right?
Right.
In order to like land
right,
onto the concrete, and then even a few more inches just to
Be
like
able to turn,
especially
yeah.
if she's turning herself,
Right,
you
by
know?
yourself. Big wheels.
Big wheelchair,
Yeah,
like,
big
yeah, so
wheelchair.
if you had,
I am kind.
you are
You're-
tiny.
You are tiny. Yeah,
Right, but if you had like some of those motorized wheelchairs are
Right.
bigger than yours.
Yeah.
yeah, she does have a smaller
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and they also said that if it's a car and a van,
Mm.
that they advise you that you should put excess space for the van on the passenger side
Right.
of where,
Yeah.
Right, we try to do that,
Yeah.
right, so that the empty space is where you get out, not
Right.
where I get out. I
Right.
can get out,
Right.
but, right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, I think we just go back and look and see
Okay.
what they have and,
Okay.
you know, and just follow up from there because since there's open spaces in general,
Right,
you know, I don't know how they arrived at giving space to, you know, the different clients up there.
yeah,
And if that's the case, it just sort of kind of increases the number. Because if you tell me that Market Basket got 80, and which they're down close on that parking lot area towards the bank, so if they got more than 80 spaces there, then, you know, what about the rest of the spaces?
okay. Okay, all right, I can do that. All right. Anything else on that?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, great. So I attended the seminar down in Hyannis, 2.5 hours down and 2.5 hours back. It was very interesting, so I got to meet many different members of different locations. It was from all over. I was one of the furthest away. Most of them were from down in the Cape. And it was interesting to listen to all the different committee members. It was mostly Jeff Dugan that did the talking. He brought up a lot of different ideas about what different committees do. Unfortunately, what we're, where we're just getting started, he's going to come out, he'd like to come out on October 3rd at 1 o'clock, which is what I had down. But he really talked a lot about committees that have been around for a long time, what they're doing, how they're changing things. But one of the biggest things that the committees down there are doing, they get tens of thousands of dollars from their tickets.
Wow.
One committee got last year $20,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
From violations?
Violations.
Wow.
So Hyannis, all of those, because they have people coming in from different cities and towns, go down and visit, they stay for the summers, and people that go down there. And they're huge on enforcement, because they have so many parking spots that are handicapped accessible, and people will park in them, and they said it's amazing how many people do it, and so how many violations there are. And they get big money, you know.
Question on
Sure.
that, did the state establish a minimum fee for parking? Is it the 200 that I usually hear most of the time?
So ours is $100, the minimum is $100. You can, you can
okay.
assess $200 if
So
you
the
choose.
community does it,
Community
okay.
does it. So Littleton has $100. So I did go and talk to Bonnie about Littleton. In the last 6 months, we had 6 violations, 6 tickets written, 3 people paid, 3 people fought it. And the 3 people that did fight it did have a hearing with Mr. Bergman, and he did waive those 3 tickets that he did have a hearing with. It was only the people that fought the ticket and Mr. Bergman, so I don't know for what reason they parked in there or why he chose to do that. So in the 6-8 months' time, so $300 is all that was written up for Littleton. We do not have, we did not vote in the town to accept the Mass General Law to put that into a special fund for just the Disability Commission, so it does go into a general fund. So in the town, that's all we would have to work with. If we needed money, sure.
Question on that, but the state,
Yeah, go ahead.
The state sets the tone as far as handicap and parking, because they're the ones that says that you can park at a meter or in the handicap space, you don't have to pay. So if I'm trying to understand, how do we enforce the law if we didn't adopt the state criteria for handicap parking? Because if you're going to charge somebody for handicap parking, then if you didn't establish the criteria for handicap parking where you're at, because the state will override if you got a meter out there. And the state says you can park and you don't have to pay.
Right, so it's just, we didn't accept the bylaw to put that money into a special fund for Disability Commission.
But
But
the
we do-
state, but the state law says that that's where it's to go.
Only, yeah, so we as a town have to accept that Mass General Law locally, and we did not. So we accepted 80J, but we did not accept the next law, which puts it just into a special fund just for disability. So we had to accept that bylaw, and we didn't as yet. So if we wanted to do that as a commission, bring that forward to the selectmen and ask them to put it on, one of our town meetings, we could do that, and then they would set that aside just to be used as, for disabilities.
Well,
commission.
I would tend to think that, I don't know, I could be wrong. I just don't understand how is it that we can have the choice to accept or not to accept what the state law says about the fines that come from parking in handicapped spaces.
Well, it's,
If they say that, they're precise about it, because Tony read it here. It says that that money is to be put in a special account, and it is to be used for the Disability Commission. So if we find that we need some signs or there's an area over here that, you know, needs fixing on the walkway or something that, you know, if we got the money, you know, the town could say, okay, well, you got X dollars, you can, you know, pay for that to have that patched or whatever the case is. I'm just a little flabbergasted here at the fact that we have a choice to put the money in the general funds when the state criteria says that this is where it goes, because I think it's a little deeper than that, because the state is the one that established the criteria for this and cited where it was to go. And I think precisely for the general reason that it's been used somewhere else, and they felt that that money, if you parked over there, it should be directed for whatever that disability commission needs funds for down there to operate for the handicap of that community there, and not be used in the general fund to go here, spend it there, whatever the case. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm just sort of kind of thinking, sort of kind of in hindsight, that it seems that someone had foresight and was saying that when this money comes in, this is where it's to go. And I you know, with all regards and high respect for Mr. Berkman, I just think that the town should be conforming with the law. If it says that's where it should go, then that's what we should be doing. And I'd like for us to put in, because you're never going to have any money to do anything before they had to count for it, and it was in a special account. So I think that somewhere along the line, maybe it was done before Bonnie got here, or whatever the case was, but when I was on the commission, they most certainly we got a report exactly how much money we had in the account. So I think that we should definitely request the money be put into a special account according to what the state law says. So I'm just for doing whatever the state said, because I think it's foresight that was used here, and may not be a whole lot of money, but you know, when you're in a committee and you got a zero budget, you don't even submit anything. I mean, they were kind enough to give us some money here with this study and stuff there, but we wouldn't expect that money, you know, if it was a large sum, like you talk about the town that had $20,000. I'm sure that, you know, certain things that they needed, that the town tapped in and said, you know, give us some of this 20,000 you got over here. That's just my opinion,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just.
I mean, yeah, I would agree it's reasonable to request that we as a town align with the state law on this. You know, granted, at the present time, we're only talking about $300 in the fund, but if, you know, pulling it into alignment now that our commission here is back intact and active, then it might allow us to actually, you know, grow some funds and have the ability to address issues as they come up, perhaps. I'm curious, who does the parking enforcement in town? Is it the police?
Police, yeah, they're the one.
Uh,
We've had, if I may, Madam Chair.
Sure.
We've had, you know, some people in different community, you know, they go out there and write on the people's car and say this and that, and they try to tell them, oh, move this and that. You know, it's the law enforcement, it's the police that does that.
Yeah.
And not citizens to go out there, because you really don't have a right to go out there and touch anybody's property.
Right.
You know, the police does.
Yeah.
You know, if they're in violation, the police, they can write a ticket and put it on their car, and not somebody else, you know, going out there getting in an argument, you know, and stuff like that. So not even the board as a commission, you certainly don't have the right to speak to nobody. If you want to speak to somebody, you call the police and say, hey, you got some cars up here in handicapped space, you know,
Right,
boom, you
yeah.
know, and let them do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so, well, you know, I can talk to Keith about, you know, putting it on, well, it's too late for the fall, but we can put it, you know, put it on in the spring to align us with the
With the
Mass
state.
General law.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we ask as a commission that we align the parking into handicap spaces, fines be in compliance, and align ourselves with the state as far as the state criteria as to where the money should be used and put in a separate account. I mean, that would be my,
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I just want to say, if the state regulation goes to the extent of precisely telling you and directing you as to where and how and what you need to do with this money, I don't understand why someone would go to that extent to let a community do with whatever they want with the money.
Okay.
Could it be as simple as, we didn't have an active commission to represent this
Could have been.
interest, and it was just not,
No, that's, when I was put on the board, we had a count of the money
yeah,
that was there because we used to use the money, and we used to take and give people handicap signs and poles and stuff if they need them. And I went out and did a survey of the entire town,
Sure.
of all the parking spaces and everything, and got signs and gave to people so they could put up, and to inform people where that, they had parking space, but they had no sign. They had to have one at least, for a van.
right.
So I know from past history that this was there.
Yeah.
Now, how it got lost, it's another question, I guess.
Sure.
So motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, so the next item is the Omni Theater. So you received the notification from Roland about his thoughts regarding the Omni Theater. We received from the Architectural Access Board the new change, amended notice of action, which I need a vote today to be able to request an adjudicatory hearing, which will go along with Roland's notes regarding Omni Theater.
Question before we get
Sure.
to this here. On these notes here,
Yep.
why is it not in a formal manner and signed?
I can ask him to. This was just his notes.
Or at least have a cover letter.
Sure.
That covers it and says, these are whatever, before we send it up to the state, because
Sure.
I think the state will want to know who did this
Yeah.
and why we don't have a signature on it.
Sure, I can have him.
But getting back to his notes, I think that, he's very precise about what the violation is. And for them to ignore that,
Right,
or not take any of his suggestions to correct that
right,
in a way that, it is not a issue, then, if they took it below the 5 degree, that eliminated the issue, for them.
right.
But they wasn't willing to do that, then to continue to bill and ignore these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different occasions here, sort of kind of tell me they sort of kind of have no respect for the
Right,
building commission in this town that if you're gonna just go ahead and just do what you want to, and you're looking for him to issue an occupancy permit to occupy this, but yet instead you can't comply with what he finds is wrong.
Right.
I just think that, you know, that there needs to be a strong message sent out to contractors. If our building inspector comes out and telling you that you're building facilities that's not safe for our community citizen to shop in, visit, sit in, or whatever the case is, and you're gonna do what you want to, I think that's wrong. And I
Right.
think that someone needs to speak up and say, you know, you can't come here and get a permit and think that you can just ignore what the building inspector say. He is there for their safety as well as the community safety and making sure that things are complying and being done in a way that the law is written for it to be done.
Right.
And I support the building commission wholeheartedly here with regards to this, and I think it's a shame that we have such a large facility out here, the theater, which is a place that you got a whole lot of people that's probably gonna wanna go in and so forth and so on. And as you well know, anything can happen.
Right.
And if someone, you know, didn't have this built correctly for people to escape out of it, you know, it becomes a concern. And then it falls back on. The first thing they started going back is looking at, seeing what happened, who did this or who didn't do it, look at the violations, all that stuff. Well, this was there, why didn't you do something about it, you know? So I think that we just can't just let, and they said it's impractical to take care of this. Well, you know, if you don't put the wall up there, and you turn around, you don't put the roof up on top of it, is it likely that they're going to take and put another wall up and tear the one down to give the width that you need? That's too costly. We need a waiver of that. Well, you know, the fact is that you was told from the very beginning, before you even got it up there,
Right.
why didn't you do it then? And, you know, and is it detrimental? I guess you can't say that it's detrimental at this time because nothing's happened, so you don't know if something will happen or what. But the simplest term was, if you take it down to a certain degree, then there's nothing can be said. So they choose to put the wall up
Anyways, yeah.
anyway, you know. So I think that we have to support when it comes to disability situation with facilities. I think that we have to stick by the expert,
Right.
and he's the
Right.
expert as
Right.
far as I'm concerned.
All right.
So I'll make a motion, wasn't somebody that got something else to say before? I make a motion that we ask Mr. Rowland to put a cover letter on these notes here for us to forward, for Diane to forward that along with the request that she received from them
Okay.
for the hearing.
I'll second.
All right. No other discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, now we need a motion on the
Application.
application.
I make a motion that we submit the application for a hearing based on the information that we received from the Commonwealth concerning,
Omni Theater.
the hearing.
I second that.
Any other discussion? No discussion? Move for a motion, move for a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. All right. So I need to know if everybody is available for a meeting on October 3rd.
What date
It's
is
a
that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Jeff Dugan would like to come out and sit down with us and kind of go over basically what, kind of help us along, show us, give us a little bit of guidance as to what we can and can't do, what, what we should be doing, how we can do it. Give us a little bit of a helping hand type of thing. If we're all available, he'd like to come out, 1 o'clock. He said it'd last about 45 minutes to an hour. If we're all available, he would be more than willing to come out on that date if we can get a quorum for that date.
I can be available, but I'll need to limit to the hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
'cause, yeah, I have to get out of here at least by 10 to 2.
Okay,
2 o'clock the latest, I gotta be on my way.
okay, all right.
So I
Right,
think,
so-
check with the other members
Yep.
there, at least, I guess we three could still have the meeting because we can
Sure.
agree to,
Yep.
that time element.
Okay. All right. And I want to welcome Michelle once again, and I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck.
Here, no, get your iPad.
Mm.
So while she's getting her
Sure.
iPad to enunciate her speech,
Okay.
I'll just give you a brief
Sure,
introduction of myself. Is that okay?
That's great.
And then Solveig can go.
sure.
So, again, I'm Michelle Hirth. I am a special education teacher at Littleton High School. I was given the opportunity to develop the transition program. So this is the first real year that we've been doing that. I was hired last year. So I work with students who are older, between ages 18 and 22. And to get ready for the next step, which is adulthood in the big world rather than Littleton High School. So that's what I do. I live here in town. I've lived here with my husband since 1995, longer than my student has been alive, and which made me feel really old. And that's about it. That's my story. So, and I'll let you go.
Excuse me.
Sure.
What grade is she in?
So, what do you want to say? That's the hardest question that you ever get, isn't it? Do you want to, it's almost easier to say how old you are. It's more complicated. You'd think that would be an easy question, but unfortunately, it's not always so easy. And I will say, I'll give you the background. For Solveig, you're new to the United States even. I don't know if you put that on your iPad, but, so your high school education was not a typical high school education. You were in Singapore for your first part of your high school education.
Yeah.
So it didn't run like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, in that sense. But, you're getting there, you're almost done. So I'll let you talk. Oh, the volume, yeah, that helps.
My name is Solveig Steeman.
Solveig Steeman.
I am 20 years old.
Good.
I am a student at Littleton High School. I am in the Littleton Transition Program.
Yeah.
Anything else? Not right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So if you're 20 years old, so the way that special education rolls in the state of Massachusetts, and it's different state to state, is that she's legally entitled to public education until her 22nd birthday. So she has the right to be with us learning until she turns 22, which is like February of not next year, but the year after, right? 2019, yeah. So,
So how can we help?
so how can we help? There's the question, you might have a.
It is very hard for me to get the van right when I need it.
Hard for me to
I
get.
would like the vans to run for more hours in the day so that I can work and get to appointments. Right now, the vans are overscheduled and sometimes there is no room for me. It is very hard to get a job when you can only work between 9 and 3. I would like for the van to be available in the morning, to get to work and in the evening, to get to community events and get home.
Was that clear?
Yep,
Yeah.
very good.
Excellent. I love it. So you took the van here today?
Yeah.
She took the van here today from Littleton High School. Solvi is completely independent. You email for the van, right? And this time you got a reply.
So is it easy to set up, or is it difficult?
Is it both? So this time was easy, right? When the summertime,
It was hard.
In the summertime, it was hard.
so like, was it August or was it July? I don't know. August?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I tell a story?
Yeah.
So we learned, Solvi and I helped her learn how to use the van last spring from Littleton High School. And first time we went sort of together, and then the second time she went on her own. She's fine with it, she can do it independently. And then over the summer, she had a doctor's appointment in Concord at the Emerson Hospital area, and she went to to ask for a ride because her, right. Because you didn't get a reply right away, right? Was full, so she couldn't get to her doctor appointment.
Yeah.
And it was a couple days in advance even, which is, because you knew that it's supposed to call in and
Yeah.
ask for it in advance, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like a busy time or a busy day or whatever. But sometimes it works great, and sometimes between the hours that it's available and I know you guys got in fact it was the new van today, right? Like,
Okay.
even then, there was a time that she actually did have a doctor's appointment. She went to use it all by herself and, had learned how to use it, and then she couldn't access it.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, but also the guy
The time?
the time that it's available?
Yeah.
Oh, right, so 9 to 3 on the weekdays?
It hard
Right,
It's hard
for
because it's only,
me
yeah.
because going who
Going to school.
feeling
Right, our school gets out at 2.
too, yeah.
So like if you had an appointment, like in Concord at 3:30,
Oh, she couldn't get
she
there.
couldn't get there.
They're done at 3.
They helped me go on the roadway,
One way,
but
But you couldn't get back.
right. Back, you'd be stuck there overnight, bring something
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
You'd have to bring a cot. to
Right.
sleep.
I got a hotel room, right?
When we say she requesting transportation, I hear the school is being mentioned here. Precisely, where is she calling for transportation?
So as part of the transition program, part of my job is to get students prepared as they can be for adult life once school is over. So with that in mind, we set to a goal to learn how to use the Council on Aging van service, the MART program, am I saying that right? And we also did like the MBTA one day, so we could get accustomed to riding the commuter rail, which she can, you know, so part of the learning process was asking for the van to pick her up at Littleton High School, because it was part of how I taught her, you know, how we learned how to do it. So, but over the summer, she called from home to use it. So that's where the school comes in as a teaching tool in order to get her prepared as best she can be for adult life. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So we do have a school van too, that we utilize
Yeah.
for like if we were to have a community trip to go shopping at the Market Basket or something like that, that I use for my students. And that's when the travel training isn't the goal, but the shopping at the Market Basket is the goal.
Yeah.
Does that,
Yeah.
yeah.
How many students do you have that are handicapped in this transit program?
Oh, how many students that could use the Council on Aging van service?
Or
Or in
how many-
general?
In general, how many students do you have that's
It's a tough question. too, 'cause,
handicapped,
like,
that's in this transit program? Because my thinking is this, it seems that in her particular case, what tends to happen here is that she's falling through the crack and being provided services that pretty much that's of the norm to be able to get around to a certain extent. And I'm looking at maybe we need to talk to the state with regards to people that are in this transit situation like this here, and to our representatives, and see if there's some way that we can get more funding into the community
For more
where
hours.
that we can have somebody that can sort of kind of dedicate to those children, young adults
Yeah.
that we have that's in the state program that says they can go up to age 22 here with learning in their community and so forth, and see how, you know, maybe we can, you know, give them better support, especially in the summertime, because school is out for that period of time. So it made it difficult for her to be able to get around, and not getting to medical appointments. That's almost a no-no. That's really bad in that sense. I'm a veteran. I'm 100% disabled, but I find that, you know, when we have children, there's a little bit more of a need in different categories than perhaps maybe an adult that's normally, you know, disabled. So in her particular case, trying to get around, even if she could get a job part-time or whatever the case may be, she's not able to do that. So in the program, and able to her to have these accessibilities and developing her where that she can go, because when she hit 22,
Right.
you know, her life is just beginning.
Right.
So you need to try to get, you know, I think more help at the early stage here with this program. I don't know how old it is, but it certainly needs to have, I think, some funding that can help, because a lot of time having this accessibility is a key to their life, but then a lot of time a community that's small, you know, they have to look at the community as a whole. So you look at the adult population that you have, and I was senior and older people, it takes a lot of that resource to put that in operation, whereas at the school, it's like another category.
Yes.
And you need to be able to provide the service irregardless. And I think the way to do that is that if you get funding, say for instance, point in case, if we knew that she needed some transportation, whatever, maybe there could be a person that may be able to provide it, whereas that if we had funding, like coming in for the handicap parking stuff, and, you know, someone would do it as a volunteer, but paying for the use of their gas and not their time, you know, to compensate them a little bit and something like that. That would be nice, and I would think that would be something that we could offer to any child that's in school to get to the doctor. You know, I think that's where, you know, this type of funding coming in from these handicaps fines is my thinking of something that is worthy that, you know, we could do in helping a child, you know, to get to the appointment. And, you know, that's just my thoughts. And I commend you for the effort that you've been trying so hard, and you need a little help in hand. And this is where I think that we as a board, a commission here, may be able to seek out and try to get our state representatives probably to help us try to secure some funding somewhere up there and help these children out, because I think it's a need that definitely need to be addressed.
And I will agree with that, George, that it would absolutely take a bit of creative thinking. My experience with the paratransit options across the state are that budgeting is limited, so it would take some outside the, you know, the norm sort of ideas. You know, I do have some perspective on the paratransit in town. I don't know if you have had to use it much yourself. When we first moved to town nearly 4 years ago, I can't drive, I'm legally blind. And, you know, when we first moved to town, I had to start using the paratransit service here, and, you know, would call the Council on Aging directly, and it was people like Paul Talkmakian that I would deal with, and they would, you know, coordinate it, and, you know, I'd schedule the ride, but one challenge that I faced at that time was that I'm a working professional, and if I needed to go for a 30-minute doctor's appointment, I basically had to block out the entire morning, you know, and be away from my desk for that entire time. And subsequently, the Council on Aging, and I don't understand the machinations behind it, but they outsourced the dispatching function so that now when you call, you're not actually talking to them. You're, like, there was a gal, Shannon, I think she's, it's like a third-party company that's
Yeah.
you know, doing the scheduling and dispatching the rides and that sort of thing. And so, and there was about a year ago, for something I was doing, I work at IBM, I was giving a presentation on the importance of, you know, reliable transportation for people with disabilities, and I had reached back out to the Council on Aging. They, at that time, were able to provide kind of a, you know, a breakdown of demand, usage, you know, of their services. So, I mean, we could access that sort of information to make informed requests. But, you know, like George is saying, you know, thinking creatively to kind of come at this problem, or even things like ride sharing. I know that Uber and Lyft don't, you know, well, they don't come out here, and they, you know, have faced challenges where their vehicles aren't equipped for,
Correct,
you know.
for wheelchair use or
Yeah.
something, right?
They turn people with guide dogs away all the
Right.
time, and so, you know, but it's something creative like that. I know that the Ride in Boston partnered with Uber and, like, give a dramatically discounted rate to, in my case, I know of Perkins School for the Blind students that leverage this program, and so, you know, it's something like that to get creative with it. But again, it might be worth requesting time with the Council on Aging folks that could give us an overview of their, you know, their usage and that sort of thing. And
I do one, oh, I'm sorry.
If I may, Madam Chair, I think that, for one, I think that we ought to appear before the Board of Selectmen and let them know that this is an education situation here for our disabled, and for the town to look at trying to, even though we can work try and get the state rep and so forth. But I think the town should come up and put a little money into a program and this transit program and try to see how we can better meet the needs of these students. I don't think that they're separate. I think they're students. And I think that they need to be cared for just like our able-bodied students. And I think that maybe they can come up with a few dollars, and maybe we can get somebody on the program that's like they have the senior tax work-off program. There may be some means that somebody would be willing, maybe they had a van that could take a wheelchair,
That's a good
accessibility there and help. I just think that we need to be creative in trying to find a way to help the children. And to do that, we have to make people aware, here's a need.
Yep.
So if you'd have never came here today, I would have never known that this person has this need and many complications that she's encountered in trying to do the norm,
Right.
that's what it's all about, is not to peg them as being handicapped, but peg them as being normal.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that we should go before the Board of Selectmen and see if there's some way that they can come up with, because I have a great knowledge about city government and town government, because there's an old thing called money that's in certain programs that, certain accounts that, for certain occasions, they reach in there every once in a while and pull a little bit of it out. So this is one of those times, I think that if we can come up with, and you should be working on some means as to how or what we might be able to do if we can get some funding with some volunteers to probably take care of the cost of, the gas and stuff like that. And there are a lot of people that will volunteer to do certain things. Like I said, I think the tax work-off program may be a way that we might be able to reach out. That's all
Bring
year
them
long.
together, yeah.
That we might be able to
Summer.
reach out and help somebody in a way in these categories here. So I think it's worth us, bringing that to the selectmen attention.
I do think it's, with my students' population age, that sort of like early 20s, I think it might be just a group of individuals that you don't automatically think of as needing the services such as the van
Yeah,
ride or the
right.
paratransportation, because it just doesn't come to top of mind. It's
Right.
not seniors, and it's,
Right.
but this group is, is starting entry-level jobs. Those jobs aren't typically, 9 to 5 at the whatever, and there is a need that a community might not have even known was there,
Right.
frankly,
Yeah.
I have a number of students who probably will not obtain a driver's license, but it doesn't mean they can't work, and it doesn't mean they can't, go to the doctor themselves or do all this, but they're maybe not going to have their own car or driver's license to do that, so.
I commend you for the effort that you put forth with our citizen here in the town that, confronted with these difficult times in their lives. And I always said that you never know exactly what it is if you never experienced it. And it takes a special person, one, to want to deal with that, because you have to have patience. I always told people that I had more patience than you can imagine. So I think that it's good that people like you step forth and try to do the things that, your heart, you have to have the heart to do this type of stuff. And that's something that I find in this town, that there are a lot of people got a lot of good heart about them in this town here that like to try to do the right thing, so,
Well, this student of mine makes it very easy because she is fantastic and she'll advocate for herself as well, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
recommend you for what you're doing here.
Yep.
You good? Your mom's here if you want
Yeah.
to. You have to go.
She's
So
out
can
there?
we, yeah.
She could've came in.
I saw you around with it. All way. It was a one-way ride on this Council on Aging van today, right?
Yeah.
All right. So can we come to another meeting sometime?
That would be great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent.
And thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
All right, let me just go make sure that she's still out there. All right.
All right, thank you so much.
guys.
Appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Yeah. She knows how to wheel that chair
Oh, she-
around, that's good.
Independent student. It's like you're gonna put me out of a job, so what am I gonna do? You're not gonna need me anymore.
All right, so moving on to minutes approval of July 17th. Take a minute to read them over, see any changes that need to be done.
What's been the result on those chips?
So they said that they're just gonna, what they do is they just gonna continue to fill them. That in order to do anything else would be tens of thousands of dollars to bring it to any other conclusion, so. And I did talk to Park and Rec. Tim was hoping to get here today. They are in the process of redoing the bathrooms in the whole, actually, building down at the lake. They understand the whole concept that they don't have accessibility to, obviously, to the water for wheelchairs. They are going to, next year, they have they're going to put in for a wheelchair, which can go from the parking lot right through the sand to the water. It's one of those ones that have the big tires. Next year, they're going to hope to get one. They're about $2,200 a piece. You have to put in this, there's 22 of them that will be available, but obviously a lot of places are going to go for them, but they're hoping they get one. If not, they're going to try and raise enough money to purchase one. Obviously, it'll be first come, first serve when you get to the lake. But,
Sure.
they're going
Is
to
that-
try to get one.
Is that like that mat that they throw down?
So this is just a regular wheelchair. And then they had talked, we kind of talked a little bit about that matting, about trying to go, they're looking into that as well. It's all,
I seen somewhere, maybe it was on television, I saw that, where they was talking about the use of the mat, where
Yeah.
they could put it on, and it connects, it like you roll it up,
Yeah.
and you can.
so, yeah,
Well,
they have looked into that. So they do, strongly advise that we, come to their meeting when they do talk about it. They haven't had a meeting since the last time regarding the bathhouse or anything, since the last time we met. So,
Okay.
so they suggest that we come to it next time, so we can kind of get a better idea of what they're looking to do. But they probably are not going to get that matting, but they can, we can talk to them about it. But anyways, so.
Or anything to help,
Yeah,
what they're going. If nobody got any,
changes on
questions, change or whatever, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Second that?
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, it's unanimous. So there, I received a seminar for Make Your Community More Accessible. It's a 2-day community access training session. If anybody is interested, it is Tuesday, October 24th, and Wednesday, October 25th, 9 to 4 both days. It's $15 for consumers, $85 for professionals. I don't know what that means for professionals. I think we're just consumers. If anybody's interested in going, there is a seminar there, if you're interested.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we had, if people, if there was a need for somebody from the committee to go to, like the meeting you went to down there, that was funding that, that was in our account for the travel, that people could apply and be reimbursed for the travel down there, but I guess, at the end of the token, you still can get it because it's official business for the town, so you're still entitled, to get the reimbursement. But those like the incidental, things that,
Right.
that funding, to me, is supposed to be in there to take care of stuff like that.
Be able to go to it,
Yeah,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, so next meeting, October 3rd, we discussed 1 o'clock, works for everybody. Basically, the agenda would be meeting with Jeff Dugan, and, if anybody has any, anything other than, meeting with him, we can meet beforehand if we wanted to discuss anything beforehand, but I would think the 1 o'clock would be fine.
That'd be good.
How did Heidi, Michelle, how did that come about for her to come here today?
So she sent me an email
Oh.
and said, do you mind if I come to, when is your next meeting? And I said, we're meeting on Friday. And she said, oh, would you mind if I bring one of my students? And I said, sure. And so I had,
Actually, that was very enlightening to me to know that, see, a lot of time people, they take for granted and think that, people have this and that resolved and they don't have to worry about it, If people don't come forth, and I said to the community that day, if you don't come forth and speak about things that you're having difficulty with, there's no way that we'll ever know.
Right.
And we can't help you if you don't let us know,
Right.
So, if you don't have a computer or whatever the case is, you can pick up the phone and call the town clerk, and in that capacity, she can get the information over to us, And, by the way, she's the town clerk, as you well know. But, that's the only way that we really can help people
Right.
is by them coming in and speaking up. And, you know, I commend her for the effort that she did. But it just, you know, it takes you forever to get a doctor's appointment. And to have that to be missed, you know, that's really heartbreaking, you know.
Exactly.
And knowing that you got a handicap and, you know, you can't do any better, you're doing your very best, and it's like, you never know what people's needs are until they step forth, you
Right.
know? You know,
I
and
mean, the figures behind missed doctor's appointments in terms of lost productivity, lost revenue, like, you know, I saw a lot of that data just recently because I'm doing this self-driving technology project that I'm involved in, and like, I mean, they're astronomical numbers, like, there's a lot of unnecessary missed appointments, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I commend her for being, you know, taking charge, and she's doing it all on her own, you know,
Yeah.
like she said, that, you know, and it's tough for her to be, you know, to be able to get that, set up the appointment on her own,
Yeah.
and then trying to get the transportation, and to have to cancel everything
Yeah.
that must have been tough. So-
but it's heartbreaking when somebody tell you, I can get you down there, but I can't get you back,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
yeah. But anyways. All right, so motion to
I make a
adjourn?
motion that we're doing.
All right, so moved.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
See you on the 3rd.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, yeah.